So today I want to give you 3 key things that new delivery drivers do that waste time when they get to a restaurant. I want to talk to you about 3 things that new drivers do that waste time when they get an order and they go to pick it up. My name is John McFall and I want to welcome you to the McFallRI channel where I teach you how to make $25 to $30 an hour doing food delivery. In today's video, I want to talk to you about when you actually get to a restaurant and when you decide on the orders that you're going to take, and when it comes specifically to the restaurants, that's going to hinder you in making the money that you want to make, because a lot of times when we're out here doing food delivery, when we get orders and we go to a restaurant, this is a lot of time wasted because we're making the wrong choices when we go to restaurants and we're picking the wrong restaurants to begin with. The first thing I want to talk about is when you're actually getting an order sent to you on your phone and you take a look at where that order is picking up. The one thing that you really need to do when you get into food delivery, whether it's on DoorDash or Uber Eats or GrubHub, is you have got to know what restaurants in your marketplace are going to get you the orders quickly. If you go to restaurants that normally take a long time to get you those orders, you're going to be wasting a lot of time going to those places and waiting and sitting and getting those orders to you. So it's really important when you first start doing food delivery in your marketplace that you start learning and understanding what restaurants are quick and what restaurants are slow, and this will really help you decide on what orders to take. And another thing about it is each marketplace works differently. I've got a lot of my subscribers that tell me what restaurants are quick and what restaurants are slow in their marketplaces, and it's different than the ones that are in my marketplace. When I go into my marketplace, I have 3 different Chick-fil-A's that I could pick up orders from, but I decline orders on all of them because when I go to those Chick-fil-A's, it takes me forever to get those orders. Another good example in my marketplace is Five Guys. When I get orders on Five Guys, I don't typically take them, even if they are paying a decent dollar to time and dollar to mile, because when I get those orders and I go to Five Guys, most of the time they haven't even started the order until I actually get there. So it's really important when you're taking a look at the restaurants in your marketplace, and you've really got to learn what restaurants in your marketplace are the ones that are going to get you the orders quickly, so you know what restaurants to go to get the orders to make the money that you want to make. The second thing that I want to talk to you about is when new delivery drivers actually go to the restaurants. They walk in with their phone in their one hand and their hot bag in the other, and they walk up to the place where they're supposed to get the orders, and then they just simply stand there. And they stand there some more. And they stand there some more, and they just wait and wait and wait for restaurant employees to acknowledge them, and don't really get in there and make the restaurant employees acknowledge them from the get-go. It's really important that you get into a restaurant and you talk to the people that are in the restaurant so that you can get the order as quickly as possible. We went through COVID, and COVID really changed the restaurants and the way the restaurants look at the people that come inside to the lobbies to get orders, and a lot of times they completely ignore the people at the counter, whether it's food delivery drivers and paying customers. They have been really trained through COVID to really focus on the drive-through lines, and this is where their focus still is in many cases. So it's really important when you go to a restaurant and you get there to pick up your order that you walk in with your phone and your hot bag and you get the attention of one of the employees so that you can get that order as quickly as possible. A lot of times I walk into restaurants and the order is sitting in the bag and it's sitting on a counter and people are just ignoring me. So I get the attention of people when I go into the restaurant so I can get that order as quickly as possible. If they're still working on the order and you let them know that you're there to pick it up, this actually will help you get that order quickly because it will get the restaurant employees to know that somebody is there to get something and help them put their butts in gear to get it to you. So when you go to restaurants, don't just walk in and stand there and wait for the employees to acknowledge you, because they will ignore you for as long as they can in today's society. They will not acknowledge that you're there sometimes if you don't acknowledge them. The third thing that I want to talk to you about is when you accept an order and you go to a restaurant, and let's say it's even one of your restaurants that you normally go to and they're usually quick about getting you orders, but you go on this particular day to pick up this order and they tell you it's going to be 10 or 15 or 20 minutes before the order is actually going to be ready. And this is a big hit on your time. You got to remember that when you get these orders from these platforms and you go to a restaurant and they tell you you have to wait, that the platforms, none of them will compensate you for waiting an excessive amount of time. I love Uber Eats because if it's going to be too long, I call Uber Eats and say, hey, this order is not going to be ready for 20 or 30 minutes and I'm not going to wait on it. And they apologize. A lot of times they give me partial pay and they will cancel the order for me, and it does not go against my completion rating. DoorDash and GrubHub is a different animal. They don't care how long you have to sit and wait for orders to get done, and they're going to ding you on your completion rating if you give an order back, and they are not going to compensate you anymore. However, if you keep an eye on your completion rating and you always keep that completion rating as high as possible, when you get into this situation at the restaurants and they tell you it's going to be an excessive amount of time that you have to wait, give that order back so you're not wasting your time when you're out here doing food delivery. You can easily give it back and get other orders on different platforms or the same platform that's going to get you in and out of the restaurant really quickly. So make sure that if you get to a restaurant and you acknowledge yourself and they tell you it's going to be a long wait, that if it's going to be too excessive and it's not going to be good dollars to time if you sit there and wait, that you give that order back and you move on to something else. So wrapping up today's video, the three things I talked about was, number one, learning what restaurants are slow in your marketplace, and learn what restaurants are fast in your marketplace, so that when you see orders come on your phone from these different platforms, that you immediately know which ones that you should take and which ones you shouldn't, based on how long these restaurants take to get you the orders. The second thing I talked about was making sure when you go into a restaurant, don't just stand there and wait for one of the restaurant employees to acknowledge you. Get in there and go up to the counter, get the attention of somebody and let them know that you're there for your order, so that you can get that order as quickly as possible. The third thing I talked about was standing there and just waiting for orders to be complete. Once you get to the restaurant, find out how much time it's going to take for that order to get done, and if it's going to take too long, give that order back to the platform and move on to something else, so that you don't stand there and waste time. The last thing I want to talk to you about today is my metric spreadsheet. If you're new into food delivery and you want to do the best that you can while you're out there, it starts by keeping track of your numbers. My metric spreadsheet will keep track of your numbers and let you know where you are, so you can see overall how you are doing and see where you need to improve, so you can make better dollars to time and better dollars per mile when you're out here doing food delivery. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen real quick so you guys can check it out. If you look at the left hand side, you'll see I start with putting my in time and my out time when I'm out here doing my shifts. Head to the right and you'll see I put in the miles that I've driven. If you look to the right further, you'll see for each individual app I put the dollars that I've made, the time that I worked, along with the number of deliveries. Head to the bottom then and you'll see it calculates out what your average dollar per hour, dollar per mile, and your average per order. When I started doing food delivery, I was making about $15 to $16 per hour. hour. Because I kept track of my numbers, I got myself up to where I am today, which is typically somewhere around $25 to $30 an hour. Sometimes it's more. The reason that I do this is because I know what I'm doing now, because I've kept track of my numbers and see where I am. So head down in my description and go grab a free copy of it for yourself. Finally, I'd like to ask you to like this video and to subscribe to my channel. I want to leave you with, I hope that you are out there getting the money that you and your family deserve. And with that, I want to say thanks.